What is going on, everybody? Today, we are the Painted Lines. We're the Painted Lines every day, by the way. Not just today, but we are the Painted Lines. I am Justin. I'm here with my boy Tiago, and this is the post-game show of the Sixers matchup against the Bucks. Obviously, it didn't look too good. Pretty sloppy all around, I would say, this whole game. But let's get into it. Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Tiago, thank you for joining me. Well, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this game so far? Let's just start it out with that. General thoughts on the game.
Yeah, so I think first of all, we have to recognize the effort because the Sixers were down Embiid and then became down Seth Curry against what people call one of the NBA title contenders. And I thought at no point in time tonight did they ever back down from Milwaukee. And you saw that at the end of the fourth quarter where they were down 7 and just hit some absolute bombs to bring the game to overtime. So I think you recognize the effort and the fight that the Sixers have shown. Guys were tired back-to-back nights, overtime. You saw it in overtime. They had nothing left. Guys missing open shots. There was nothing left on this team tonight. They left everything on the court. I think you got to recognize that and really appreciate that from the Sixers because, Milwaukee is who they are. But, having said that, you just feel like they left a win on the table tonight. And that was the unfortunate part because it would have been a great win, man. They played really, really well in that first half. Really well. And we can talk about some of the stuff they did on Giannis, Tobias up and down, but other guys stepping up in his place. So you wanted to get that win tonight, but it didn't happen. So, you get some good things from this game. But again, some guys needed to step up tonight and they didn't do it. They did not do it tonight.
Yeah, and to me, the key thing that you noticed tonight in comparison to yesterday's game against the Spurs was or not against the Spurs. What am I saying? Who did they play yesterday?
The Knicks, man.
The Knicks. My goodness. The biggest difference you see today versus the game against the Knicks, in my opinion, was the shooting. Completely, in my opinion. Mike Scott had a good game yesterday. Shake had a better game. Danny Green obviously didn't have a good game yesterday. Had a bit of a better game today, except for the end. Furkan had a good game up until overtime. So it's just. That was the big difference to me was the difference in Tobias Harris his shooting tonight and the shooting in all. Obviously Ben Simmons didn't have a great night as well. We'll get into that as well. So let's start there. Let's start talking about Ben Simmons first. What are your thoughts on him today?
Yeah, so I think Milwaukee is a tough matchup because what they do is they have two absolute stout defenders. Giannis, one of them, and then Jrue Holiday, the second one. The game plan is pretty simple. We're going to have Giannis or Jrue Holiday on Ben Simmons at all time. Yeah. And whoever doesn't have that has Tobias Harris. So that was pretty much the matchup. It was Tobias Harris or Ben. Milwaukee was dead set on nullifying both of those guys. So having said that, you needed somebody else to step up. And you mentioned, right? So Danny Green was one of the guys who stepped up tonight, and I thought he played pretty well for the most part. Seth Curry goes down. You need a Shake Milton to step up tonight, man. You know what? You've been up and down for the second half of the year here. You had a hot start, but you have not been the same player since the first month of the year. And you need to step up tonight. You look at the box score. The box score will tell you he played okay, right? So I'm looking at it right now. He finished 7 for 15 with 15 points and a plus 17. But it was a lot of sloppy turnovers from Shake. Missing open shots. I don't know what he did to his shot, but it seems a little bit slower and like a lower release. It doesn't look as smooth as it did last year. And it got to a point where Doc said, listen, I have to get you out of here and put Korkmaz in it. That's what happened in the fourth quarter. He took out Shake, put Korkmaz, and Korkmaz ended up hitting the game-tying three-point shot. So, I was really disappointed from Shake tonight. I thought that he didn't really help the team win. And then we go down the line. We go down. Mike Scott, continues to give you absolutely nothing. Guys are busting their ass out there. This guy comes in, gives you absolutely nothing. So I don't know how that looks in the locker room when you got to have to go back and answer to your teammates. But yeah, so you want somebody else to step up tonight, and that didn't happen. So, unfortunate loss for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like what you're saying about Mike Scott. It is really disappointing because it's one of those things where I think everyone loves the guy himself. Everyone loves the idea of him and the idea of him as a teammate. It's unfortunate to see that a guy who used to be realistically he's never been a super consistent shooter. It just sucks at this point where in spots where you need him, he's not there most of the time.
And I hear you. Like, it's not even the shooting part of it because 3-point shooters are going to hit or miss. That's the part of the game. Where I'm at with Mike Scott is like, what are you doing on the court? I mean, you don't pass, you don't rebound, you don't play defense. What are we doing? You know, I mean, and you see guys like Ben, Tobias, Dwight bust their ass out there. And this guy goes out there, you know, sets a screen, you know, grabs a loose ball every now and then. At some point, man, you got to start calling like it is. Like, this guy's just flat out stealing money. He's getting guaranteed money from this team. He's being asked to play a role now that Embiid is out. He doesn't deliver on a nightly basis. Occasionally, he has a good game here and there, but you saw again tonight. I mean, they tried running some small 5 lineups with him on the court. It was a disaster, as you'd expect, because what else would you expect from Mike Scott at this point? So, again, on a game like tonight, man, you needed somebody else to step up. Shake wasn't it. Mike Scott wasn't it. You know, you end up taking it out, but, you know, we'll see where that goes. I'm a little bit concerned about Seth Curry's injuries. So if that lingers, you know, the Sixers could be in a hurt of trouble coming up here.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's something I wanted to get into as well. We can get into it right now. Seth Curry going down about the middle of the fourth, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And so from what I heard, it was a left ankle sprain, correct?
That's what I heard too. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously not good. Very, very not good. Best shooter on the team. I mean, he's been inconsistent at times, but overall, probably the most consistent 3-point shooter we have on this roster. And on a team where 3-point shooting is very important, it's definitely could be an issue. So if that is a lingering issue, and if he is out for some time, what do you think Sixers do with that, with the trade deadline being right up against, with the team being right up against the trade deadline right now? Do you think they bring in anybody to try to fill in those positions, being how inconsistent Milton and Furkan have been at that guard spot?
I think they absolutely need another guard. And you especially notice that particular bench lineups that Doc has out there when Tobias is not out there. I mean, their shot creation is an abomination. I mean, you got Dwight trying to, you know, take jump shots from the top of the key. You know, you have, you know, Matisse trying to do his thing on the ball. They need a guard. Shake has not delivered that. Was a problem again tonight. So, you know, if you're asking me if Seth Curry is out for a long period of time, you know, that's a problem because the Sixers run a lot of things through Seth. Even when he's not shooting the ball well, you notice what they do with Ben. They use him as a screener to free up Seth. A lot of times, 2 guys flow at Seth, and he'll throw a little dump pass towards Ben for a dunk. I mean, not a lot of guys have that type of gravity on the court. You know, Denny Green doesn't have that type of gravity. Nobody else on the Sixers bench has that type of gravity. So, you know, you want somebody in that kind of JJ Redick-esque role that can do a lot of those things off dribble handoffs that Seth can, you know. There you go. So to finish up that point, so you asked the question, like, what does it look like in the future? You know, you look at a team like the Pelicans, right? So the Pelicans they're teetering from, you know, not making the playoffs. So they want to part ways with JJ Redick. Is JJ Redick become a buyout candidate for the Sixers moving forward? You know, that's something to explore. You know, Wayne Ellington, we talked about here in the past. You know, he's a name to look at tonight. So, you know, we'll see where that goes. I mean, right now, I like the Sixers starting 5 as is, but, you know, if there's long-term injuries concerns, the Sixers definitely have to look at how they want to address it moving forward.
Yeah, and I did bring up the Kyle Lowry comment because I know obviously that is a guard that's been in conversations. Personally, I don't think it's likely that they go after him, but it has been in conversations at this point. A guy I think of as Wayne Ellington. That's like the one guy that I think comes to mind that like has high gravity as a shooter, low cost, really good about running around screens. That's who I see if Seth is out for a long period of time. But I think a point guard is really important at this point as well. I think you've seen that Shake, at least right now, this season hasn't been a consistently good backup point guard. So I think that may be something you really need to think about. And it sucks because I love Shake. I think Shake is a very good player, and I think he has the capabilities of being a good player in this league. I just think Doc may think a little too much of him right this second.
I agree, and I think that
it's been Mr. Swago says this right here. I don't know if Doc wants to risk keeping Shake for development over a proven veteran. Now, Doc has said on multiple occasions that he thinks a lot of Shake and he puts a lot of responsibility in Shake's hands, and you can see that throughout a game. He definitely has the ball in his hands a lot, especially in late game situations at times. And I think he's starting to waver that. You've seen and like Tiago just said, you saw Furkan go in for Shake late in the game today because he just didn't have it. And you've seen that a few times this season. But then again, you've seen the same thing with Doc taking Danny Green out and putting people in when they're just having an off night. So do you think Doc tries to go veteran in that spot? And do you think they make moves to do that, or do you think they stick with Shake and just try to bring in some better shooting around that group?
I myself would not be comfortable with Shake running a second unit in the playoffs. I would not be. I don't think Shake has done enough to prove that he can be a consistent playoff contributor at, say, 10 to 15 minutes a game. So yes, we'll look at to upgrade that position. Again, I'm not down on Shake as a player. I think he just has ways to go. No. And there are stretches during the game, even tonight, where he didn't play very well. But there were stretches where you saw him get downhill, finish at the rim, hit a 3-point shot. So he shows flashes. Just the consistency with him is a problem. And he may be a problem for the rest of his career, or he may develop over time. But I'm not just saying, just cancel Shake, we'll never see him again. He needs a little more time. But if the Sixers are serious about making a playoff push, you got to look at some alternatives here that are more consistency coming off the bench. Because right now, when I look at the bench, it's really just Matisse that I see as a playoff guy. Obviously Dwight for a little bit, but there's not much else then on that bench right now. And I would like to see him give maybe Tyrese another run. I know that he's been down on Tyrese for a couple weeks now. Maybe it's time to get him back on the court and see what the kid's got, man. He was playing well early in the year. Maybe he can resurface that little floater that he had going on.
My only thing with Tyrese is if did you really?
Yeah, floater.
My only thing with Tyrese is that he has been even more inconsistent than Shake at times. I think at least at that point guard spot when it comes to his 3-point shooting especially, but also his passing at times. So I don't think that's the answer. I think if you're going to give someone else a shot at that backup point guard spot, I don't think it's going to be within the team at this point. I think it is going to be a move. That's just my thought. I don't think that he trusts. If he doesn't trust Shake to this point, I don't think he's going to trust Tyrese right now. At least with the backup point guard minutes for the playoffs is what I mean by that.
And just one more point on that, because I think it's important. I mean, your best shot creator on that team is Ben Simmons. Period. Point blank, no questions about it. So for the Sixers to continuously run offense in overtime in the fourth quarter through Shake, Korkmaz, I mean, at some point you guys ask Doc, listen, put the ball in your best player's hands. And I understand what he's trying to do with Ben. Use him as a screener, use him as a rebounder, rim runner, whatever. But he's still your best shot creator. And I thought that the Sixers are going too much away from Ben Simmons as a point guard. And at times, man, listen, you just got to give the guy the ball, but go win the game. Just go win the game, man, because Shake Milton's not going to win you the game. And Tobias, man, we talked about it last night. He was awesome. He was good again for the most part today, but he just didn't have it in the fourth quarter. So give your best player the ball and see what he's got, man. I thought that they went away from Ben too much tonight.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think also it doesn't help that, and I think we said this a little bit earlier, but Tobias Harris obviously did not have the best game tonight. I got to look again at the box score to see what exactly his stats were, but 19 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 8 of 23. So obviously not a great night for him, offensively at least. And just realistically, if any of our shooters or Tobias have a better night scoring wise, this game's different in my opinion. I think this game's in the W column, which I think should say a lot about this team. Being that we're down Embiid and this game was the way it was, I think it should reflect more on the Bucks standpoint in some ways than it should on our standpoint. We're on a back-to-back. Sixers are on a back-to-back after a tough fought win last night against the Knicks. And even it's the Knicks, so you wouldn't think tough fought win, but it definitely was a tough fought win throughout the game. Just overall, I think it says more about the Bucks and what they need to fix than it does about the Sixers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tobias, like, he didn't have a particularly bad game. I thought he had a rough fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I thought his shot selection was good in the fourth quarter. It just wasn't falling. Like, he had a lot of little close looks by the rim, kind of stuff that was falling so easily last night. I thought Tobias played another really good defensive game. I mean, that's something we continue to talk about Tobias Harris.
And that is why I specifically said offensively, because you're right, definitely.
I mean, we can talk about this in more detail, but they took an approach to Giannis that for three and a half quarters, Giannis completely off the rails. I mean, it was Ben Simmons fronting him in the post, Tobias playing him 1-on-1, guys throwing help defense all over the place. I mean, they knew exactly when and how he was going to spin, and had a guy just ready to swipe the ball away at any time. So I thought the Sixers did a phenomenal job scouting Giannis tonight, knowing that they did not have Embiid. And, man, like, Giannis was completely off his game. I mean, airballing shots, airballing floaters, getting technical fouls. So, again, I thought that in the fourth quarter he got going and the Sixers got tired. Ben had a fifth foul. He couldn't defend Giannis as much. But I thought Tobias was a big part of that group that really held Giannis down for most of the game. So give him credit for that.
No, definitely. And I think this is an interesting comment. Tobias is tough to rely on when he can't get mismatches. Drew had him clamped. Yeah. I kind of noticed that a little bit. And that's been a key thing with Drew Holiday for a long time now, about his defense on guys that are bigger than him. Like, not that Tobias is massively bigger than Drew Holiday, but I mean, he's pretty big. Like, Tobias is no small dude, but it feels like Drew can guard anybody, no matter how big they are at times. So I definitely agree. It seemed like late game in the fourth when Drew Holiday was on Tobias, he just couldn't get buckets at that point.
Yeah, Drew's a phenomenal player, man. I mean, the Milwaukee doesn't even come close to winning this game without him tonight. I mean, all the highlights are going to go to Giannis. ESPN's going to run all the dunks and all that nonsense. For 3 quarters, like, this guy was the glue that kept that team together. I mean, defensively on Ben, on Tobias, quick hands. I mean, you name it. Taking guys off the dribble, making the right reads. He was phenomenal tonight. You see why Milwaukee wanted him, perhaps overpaid him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can see what he's going to bring in the playoffs. But we can talk about Milwaukee. I don't think the Sixers should be very concerned about the Bucks, man, if they come in the playoffs healthy. I mean, maybe you have a different idea on that, Justin.
I agree.
The Sixers match up really well against this team with Embiid.
Yeah, and
really well.
I know, and Willard said here, and they added PJ Tucker. They did add PJ Tucker. I don't think that raises their ceiling a ton. I think it does. Like, it is obviously a very good pickup for them. Just like if it were, I think personally, PJ Tucker would raise the ceiling more for the Sixers than it does the Bucks, just because the Bucks do have Brook Lopez. They do already have that stretch big who can run the stretch big role around Giannis. I think it, and obviously the more stretch bigs you can have, the better, I think. But I think that PJ Tucker onto the Sixers would be a little bit more of a needle raiser than it is on the Bucks, just because they do already have a lot of that kind of player on their team.
But here's the one more thing on that, because
go ahead.
Just to wrap up on the Bucks, because when Milwaukee, what they want to do is to give Giannis the ball and have him operate. And Milwaukee did that a lot in the first half, and they were very static. The Sixers handled him in the post. They didn't have a lot of movement. There was no, dribble drive, none of that stuff, and they become very predictable as an offense. And if that's the route that they want to take in the playoffs by enabling more on-ball Giannis,
yeah,
they're going to fall into the same trap they fall in the last 2 years. Like, this guy is not LeBron James. He does not have the same type of shot-making prowess that somebody, James Harden, those guys have. Dame Lillard is an example. So I understand he's won all the MVPs and all that, but Milwaukee needs to learn how to play with this guy off the ball more as a rim runner and whatnot. And they continue to fall into that trap. And they fell into that trap in the first half, and the Sixers had every answer. I mean, they were.
Do you think that has to do, though, with how the Sixers guard them, or do you think that has to do with them not being able to find another offense that works?
I mean, they have Drew Holiday out there, so why not, do more stuff with Giannis cutting, more, pick and roll with Giannis as a rim runner. They do none of that stuff. They dump the ball to Giannis in the post and go to work. And, when you're playing the Bulls and you're playing Larry Markkinen or whatever, that's fine. You're gonna go off for 50 points, and he's gonna prove no match for you. But you're playing against Ben Simmons, You play against guys who can defend, man. And when he plays against Embiid, Embiid's going to give him a hard time. So if that's their play against the Sixers in the playoffs, I like Philadelphia, man, because that is not going to work with the Sixers for 7 games. It's just not going to happen.
Yams, you're a little late. We already talked about Shake Milton and how poor it was there. So go watch back later once the video is over. Overall, what you said earlier about when the Sixers and the Bucks, if they match up in the playoffs, if I'm worried about that, I'm really not. If the Sixers are healthy and they have Joel Embiid, I really don't think the Bucks have anybody to guard him. And I think with Embiid, the Sixers even have more good defense to play against them as well. Like Dwight, you said this earlier, but Dwight Howard, we should get into him a little bit. Defensively on the interior didn't look amazing today. What were your thoughts?
I thought he was okay. I mean, he's a guy who's going to thrive off energy. He's going to get his dunks because he's putbacks, and you live with that. Yeah. And just to go back to the question, you can get more out of that position. And, we talked about this in the past. A guy like Dario Saric, how the Suns use him as a center would completely change the Sixers offense. I mean, with Ben having more space to work, other guys getting involved. I just think that Dwight, again, he had a good game. I'm not complaining about Dwight, but, it's the offensive fouls. It's, the missed assignments. That stuff adds up. In a game that goes to overtime, that stuff adds up. If you're beating the Spurs by 40, 50 points, who cares? You get an offensive foul, you blow a kiss to the crowd, and that's that. But, you played a 1-point game against Milwaukee, and if you go back to Dwight's plays, yes, he did a lot of good stuff, but there's the fouls, all that stuff we talked about many times. So I just think the Sixers can do more with that backup position. Still play Dwight. Obviously, the defense matters. He's been good in defense, but I think they need to make a move there again. We talked about this before.
Yeah, and real quick, talking about Seth Curry earlier, Doc Rivers said to our beat reporter Austin Krell, I don't think it's a bad sprain. I think it's a sprain. So that's obviously that is kind of saying a lot, but also saying nothing. It's sprain. We knew this already, but hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully he comes back soon, because obviously that 3-point shooting, like we said earlier, is very important for this team. Overall, what was your biggest takeaway from this game? Do you have any others that you haven't said already?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a couple comments about Ben Simmons on the chat, right? So Ben Simmons didn't have a good game. He was not good. Yeah. He had 7 turnovers. He was sloppy. Did not finish well around the rim, which he was doing for the most part here the second half of the year. So we got to call it like it is. I think that Ben, defensively, again, played his heart out, defended Giannis pretty well for most of the night, but didn't have a good game. And, the people who have doubts about Ben Simmons being a playoff contributor on the score sheet will point to a game like tonight and be like, listen, this is the same stuff that we talk about with Ben Simmons, in the fourth quarter against tight elite defense. He has a tough time scoring. I'm of the belief that he's a different player, that with a lineup around them, an optimized lineup around them, we can see the Ben Simmons that we saw against Utah and whatnot, because he just looks stronger, better, more well-rounded player than he had in the past. But games like tonight, man, you got to step up, and especially with the turnovers cannot be an issue in games like tonight. I'm okay with you going for 4 for 14, whatever he shot, but 7 turnovers, that's like rookie year Ben Simmons. So hopefully that that comes back around and he has a better game coming up here.
But what about this though?
I didn't see it. I was logging in here. You tell me.
No, I know, but I told you it was nice. It was pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. He hit it right in Drew Holiday's face. Like it was a pretty nice shot. I do have to say I can't disagree with Chile. Chile. I don't know. I can't disagree with you on that one. It was definitely a nice looking shot, and I hope we see more of it, but I doubt we're gonna. But yeah, so overall, man, what's your grade of today's game? Who's your player of the game? Like, do you have a player of the game?
It's tough, man. I mean, it's forget the player of the game. I just thought that overall it was just B-, B effort. I mean, you got to give the team credit on that part of it. I didn't expect them to be the game at all tonight. I thought they were going to get blown out of the game. So the fact that they had a double-digit lead and took it to overtime, good sign, man. There's some good positives to take away from this game. So, we'll look forward to that. But, you just want to see them pull it out tonight. It didn't happen, but see, coming up here.
Yeah, I think you saw, like you said, you saw a lot of heart today. You saw a lot of effort, and I think there was effort in this game. I think part of it was fatigue. I think part of it was just wasn't their night with making some shots. And realistically, it wasn't the Bucks' night making shots either. They just made some more than we did at the end. Brook Lopez brought him back at the end of that game, and then Giannis took over at the end of it. What's up?
I'm tired doing back-to-back podcasts. I can't even imagine what like Ben Simmons and those guys.
Oh my
must
goodness!
Feel like playing whatever 80 minutes they played in 2 nights. So
listen, I hear you. I think my player of the game though has got to be Drew Holiday.
Yeah, for sure.
Drew Holiday, man.
Absolutely.
Drew Holiday. Just crazy good defender. For a while, I really wanted them to come back to the Sixers. I didn't think it was going to happen, but there were rumors floating around that during the draft and everything like that, or before the Bucks traded for him, there were rumors going around the Sixers were interested in him as well. And I was really hoping he was going to come back. And can you imagine the Sixers lineup with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Drew Holiday?
And then you throw Matisse out there sometimes. Tobias.
Bro, it's not even fair at that point. It's not even fair. Yeah. But, anyway, my player of the game goes to Milwaukee's own Drew Holiday. I think he had a very good game against us, especially defensively throughout the game.
I do have one player of the game. Sorry, I almost forgot. My player of the game is Dante DiVincenzo because what the hell he was doing in that Korkmaz 3-point shot at the end. He was trying to play the pass 2 seconds left on the scoreboard.
Listen, man. Listen, he's good. He's good. What can you say?
That Villanova education coming in handy there at the end.
Oh my! Don't say it. We're gonna have so many people from the Painted Lines coming at it. You're gonna have to deal with Matt. You're gonna have to deal with Gint talking some shit now. All right. We're dropping it. We're not doing it anymore. We're dropping it. All right. But listen, guys, if you haven't already, please like the video. We'd really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do this pretty much every game when we can. We don't get paid for this, so please like the video. Comment once this video is done. Once this video is re-uploaded onto YouTube. Comment about the game. Comment about the trades you want to see Daryl Morey make. Comment about our show, what you like, what you didn't like. Tell Tiago how beautiful he is. Go follow Tiago at tscabby on Twitter if you do not already. Please go follow me on Twitter at @J_Persichetti if you do not already. Go check out our website. All of our links for the Painted Lines are in the description of this video. Go check out our Twitter, our website, our Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. Am I missing anything? I'm trying to think.
Got it all, man.
I think I'm getting it all. And by the way, Tiago, tell them about your latest story.
My latest story, what I'm writing about?
Yes, sir.
What I'm writing about the Sixers lineup without Embiid, and I'm also writing about Dario Saric. We talked about it here. The Suns are a much better team when he's on the court and DeAndre Ayton is out of the court. So
hot takes,
make sure to check that out.
Hot takes. All right, but guys, Mr. Swaggo, I told you, comment that on the bottom of the other video so it's there permanently. Your comments on here aren't there permanently, so you got to go set that at the bottom of the video when this is done. So definitely go comment Tiago's beautiful. I will go like your comment specifically if you go do that. Anybody who goes into the comments and writes Tiago, you're beautiful, I will go personally like your comments. So definitely go do that. But guys, we appreciate you watching. Please come back and join us and help this community grow. I said it last video yesterday, but please, if you like and comment on the videos, share us, subscribe, turn on post notifications. It will help this community grow, and that's all we want. So we really appreciate you watching, and we will see y'all next time. Have a good night.